rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I'm just your regular average button pusher. All of my chatters over on Rumble, they understand what that means. Hey, if you haven't done it yet, seriously, you should head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account, sign up and sign in, and that way you can join in the chat. And you can see some of the things that go beyond and behind the scenes in the Rumble chat. And some of them, I'm going to admit, you may not want to see. But there's a lot that you actually probably do. Anyway, all right. Let's yeah, now they're all trying to claim who's the button pusher and the head button pusher, and apparently, according to Buddy Weiser, longtime Whiskey Warrior P1, said I mashed a button because I popped a person that was not well, they posted a link, and I don't like links unless they're relevant to what's going on. No, I'm just kidding. Sort of, but not really. Anyway, all right, let's get things kicked off. Tonight, oh my goodness, you know what? I actually forgot. This is sad. I forgot who it, whoops. Hold on. No, I don't want that. I want this. I actually forgot who I put in for the pledge for tonight. Give me just a second here. Oh, go away. Damn spam callers. Yes. Okay. So, tonight is Ms. T of Texas. She is up for tonight's Pledge of Allegiance. So if you are of mine, please stand or remove your hat if you're wearing one like me. And if not, place your hand over your heart anyway, regardless. And let's go ahead and follow along with Ms. T as she recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And, of course, I thank you, Ms. T, for providing us with that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting the pledge in your style, and then take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file is created, and attach it to an email. Send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at americanperspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at americanperspective.online. And I will get you into the rotation. All right, tonight's top of the hour promo is the Institute on the Constitution. The Institute on the Constitution was established in 2004 as a 501c3 nonprofit with one singular mission, and that is to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education. All courses and materials are developed using primary source documents and taught from the American view of law and government as defined in the Declaration of Independence in the following 3 key points. 1, there is a God. 2, our rights come from him. And 3, the purpose of civil government is to secure and protect our God-given rights. The IOTC offers the opportunity to educate yourself on our most precious founding document, the Constitution of the United States. They also provide tools to educate your community and get involved with local government. Start by taking their free U.S. Constitution course and go from there. Use my affiliate link, iotc.americanperspective.online, to sign up, and while you are there, take a moment to look through their other course material and information. My affiliate link, once again, is iotc.americanperspective.online to get great content to learn about our historical founding, and support the show in the process. That's IOTC.AmericanPerspective.online. Or if you just want to purchase this fabulous Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution to support the show, all you need to do is go to constitution.americanperspective.online. Check this thing out. It's got 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather wrapped around pages that are water and tear resistant. And look at that binding, folks. It is stitched. It is not cheap glue here. It's stitched all the way through the leather and the pages contained within. It's got sexy rounded corners, according to my rumblers. And it has a 100-year warranty against materials and manufacturing defects, such that you can send this back to the manufacturer if something does go wrong, and they will either fix it or replace it for free. It is buddy tested, buddy approved, Billy tasted, Billy approved, and my youngest whiskey warrior has confirmed that the information contained within will help you study for your civics badge in Scouts. Probably also could take care of your civics exam too. It also reportedly repels Democrats. Just saying. I've got it on great authority. A good buddy told me. Yeah, go to constitution.americanperspective.online to get yours today. And also, while you are there, check out the rest of the Institute on the Constitution's offerings. And I thank them for allowing me to be a brand affiliate. Wrong button. Here we go. Yeah, push buttons all day long. I mean, I push leftist buttons. I push buttons. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Speaking of pushing buttons, well, boy, this first of all, I got to tell you, it's kind of interesting. Some of the stories or some of the articles that I'm going to pull up for you tonight. It's kind of interesting how whenever something happens that is of significant scandal, it's kind of like a thread on a shirt or a thread on a rug or something like that, where you tug on the thread, the loose thread, and next thing you know, you're starting to unravel the whole damn thing. And that's what's happening today. Okay. That's what's happening today. With a few of the articles that I'm about ready to get into here in just a little bit. So, first of all, the leftist lunatics, they all jumped because 24 hours ago, and I'm not being exactly accurate with that, but yesterday, okay, a federal court went ahead and rejected Trump's unbound authority to impose worldwide tariffs. Now, the court ruled, and now keep in mind, this is like the lowest court of the low. This is the bottom of the barrel. It's a federal district judge, once again going rogue against the Constitution in a unconstitutionally power grab that all these federal judges have been doing. And once again, they rejected the idea that Trump can just impose the worldwide tariffs. Now, this is in particular with regards to his early April tariffs list that he put across the board, that he essentially called it a Emergency Power Act. The International Emergency Economic Powers Act is what it was. And the court basically was saying, yeah, you can't do that. And this was the U.S. Court of International Trade. They ruled on Wednesday that Donald Trump had overstepped his authority over tariffs using or under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. The court apparently said that the Constitution assigns Congress the exclusive powers to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, and to regulate commerce with foreign nations, the court opined. And, yeah, that's true. Okay. However, there was an International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977 that delegates those powers to the president in the form of authority to impose unlimited tariffs on goods for nearly every country in the world. Okay. Now, the court itself does not read that the IEEPA to confer such unbounded authority and sets aside the challenged tariffs imposed thereunder. Well, there's only one problem with that. The court overstepped its authority in saying that he overstepped his authority. Because again, as I keep telling you folks, these lower courts, everything under the Supreme Court was created by Congress. Congress cannot take away outside of what the Constitution says that they have the power to do. Congress can't tell the executive necessarily how to make things work. Okay? And just like the president can't tell Congress, hey, you guys need to pass this law, and you will pass it. No, they're supposed to be separate. They can't tell each other what to do. Okay? And so in that particular case, Congress can't confer a power that they don't even have themselves constitutionally. And this is part of the problem. All of these lower court federal judges are attempting to confer a power that Congress itself does not even have. Now, the only court in the land that can rein in either the president or the legislature is the Supreme Court, the one that was constitutionally set up. And that is where we get into a bit of a problem. So, all of these judges that have been doing all of this, they're way outside. They're off the reservation. They're outside of even left field. They're not even in the ballpark for all of this. Well, just announced, the appeals court temporarily reinstates the Trump tariffs, reversing the lower court order. This just announced right before I came on the air. They temporarily paused the lower court ruling and the decision is basically because they want to have time to kind of consider the motions papers that are coming in for them. So the trade court rules this on Wednesday, and today, Thursday, the U.S. Court of Appeals says, yeah, no, you can't do that. We're going to hold off on that for now until we figure this out. So, yeah. This is all constitutional, I'm telling you, people. If you really want to understand how the Constitution works, this is going to be the next 4 years, minimum the next 2 years, until Congress, unfortunately, has the opportunity to flip over. It may or it may not. We don't know. But it has the opportunity to flip over, in which case Trump's going to be spending the last 2 years in his office just defending himself, if that does happen. Now, we, the voters, can prevent that from happening. But I digress from the conversation at hand. Anyway, the point being is that these courts are going to force what is considered to be a constitutional crisis, and sooner or later, either the Supreme Court itself or Congress, because again, keep in mind, Congress has control over what the lower courts can and cannot do, because of the fact that the Constitution states in Article 3 that the lower courts are built by Congress and can be taken away by Congress as well. Now, I honestly don't see Congress necessarily getting involved with, like, saying, hey, you know what, we're just going to get rid of all the lower courts. I don't see that happening. But there is a potential, and there are some draft bills that are out where they are basically saying, yeah, you federal courts, you gotta rein it in here, folks. There are some draft bills that are running around, and of course it hasn't become a bill yet. It's just more of a resolution or whatever they call it before it becomes a bill. But anyway, the point being is that they're just sort of, This is setting up, I'm telling you, this is setting up some of the greatest constitutional questions in our history are potentially going to get answered with this presidency. And I personally, as a constitutional conservative, am looking at this and going, yeah, this is cool. I really want to see how this works and how the court system in terms of the Supreme Court in particular interprets all of this. But anyway, I just thought it was funny because, again, the left was going nuts and they were all talking about this whole thing, how, yeah, Trump is, yeah, well, guess what? He's not reined in. Oh, and by the way, too, there is other ways that Trump can do this without using the IEEPA. So, even this isn't really, even if the stay stayed in place, he probably would have found another way to do it anyway. So yeah, you guys are just sitting here, you're fighting against the wind and the wind and the rain and the blowing and the waves and everything else. You're fighting against current here, and you're going to have some serious problems with all of that. All right. Let's go on and let's talk about this next thing in terms of legal circles. NPR has decided to sue the Trump admin. And they're whining about the fact that defunding them somehow violates their free speech rights. I hope this lands in a court where the judge is actually intelligent and basically looks at NPR and goes, how in the hell does defunding you stop you from talking about your free speech? You can still operate. You still do private funding on the side. I mean, it's not as though you can't get the funding. He's not stopping you. He's not telling you that we're done. You're shut down. You cannot speak anymore. He is not doing that in any kind of a leftist totalitarian dream world. He's not doing that. He's just simply saying, yeah, we don't want to fund you anymore. We're the government. We don't want to fund you anymore. And in reality, I would love to have a judge that looks at them and says, can you explain to me where in the Constitution the federal government should be funding you in the first place? That, to me, would be absolutely awesome, because there is nothing in Article 1, Section 8 that guarantees that NPR or even PBS, because I think PBS is also part of this case, but it's NPR and a trio of Colorado public radio stations that have all sued the Trump administration over the executive order seeking to cease all federal funding. And again, realistically, that whole thing is, like I've been saying, a 10th Amendment applies here, people. That's just how it is. So NPR has vowed to challenge the order by taking them to court. And yeah, anyway, Congressman Brandon Gill actually has the right or the correct thought process with all of this, because he states on X fully the way it should be. He says right here, NPR has a right to free speech. It doesn't have the right to our tax dollars, though. Yeah. So apparently the lawsuit is basically saying that, yeah, we have a right to free speech, and by you defunding us, you're taking away that right. Really? Yeah. Yeah. No. Anyway. Yeah. I mean, you could search the Constitution all day long. I'm telling you, you're not going to be able to find anything that indicates where NPR and even PBS or anything else is really in the Constitution as a federally funded and constitutionally mandated, requirement. Yeah. Now, all right. Well, speaking of funding, let's move on to the big, beautiful bill, which passed the House. We all know that. But unfortunately, Elon Musk, he kind of threw the brakes. He's thrown the brakes on it to a few people in the Senate. So I'm just gonna point this out. This is gonna be interesting to see what the Senate actually does with this. And it's mainly just because Elon Musk, who a lot of people have, they look at him and they view him. So, I mean, I kind of feel like he's sort of like the Albert Einstein of our age, where Albert Einstein would say stuff and people would just accept it as fact or, whatever. Because let's face it, Albert Einstein was a very smart man. The same as Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a very smart man. But I'm kind of interesting, or in a kind of interesting way, he is stepping away from Trump with all of this. He's stepping away from Trump with all of this because he kind of said something interesting on CBS Sunday Morning with regards to the big, beautiful bill. Let's take a quick listen.
So, I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing.
I actually thought that when this big, beautiful bill came along. I mean, everything he's done on Doge gets wiped out in the first year.
I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it can be both. My personal opinion.
And, well, he's kind of sort of right. There is a lot of stuff in this spending bill that, honestly, probably shouldn't even be there. But let's face it, and let's be real about all this. No politician that is currently in office that wants to stay in office is going to actually suggest the actual cuts that need to be happening here. The left kept talking about, Medicare, Medicaid, we're cutting all these people off, blah, blah, blah. They've been all over the social medias about all of that stuff. But the thing about it is that it doesn't do enough. It's not necessarily going to save us from the deficit that we have got bearing. I mean, we have got to, seriously, this is like 5-alarm fire here, folks. We really have to start cutting things. And like I've been saying on the social media outlets, I've been saying it on this program, I think the best place to start is just start suing the crap out of all of the laws, sue the federal government under the 10th Amendment. So there you go. And realistically, I mean, again, he's an American. He has the right to free speech. He said what he wanted to say. There you go. He doesn't agree with the cuts that are going on. Many people don't, including the Republicans. Several Republicans are, trying to hold out. The Freedom Caucus within the House was trying to hold out for more cuts. And it didn't quite work out that way. So again, we're going to kind of have to see what the Senate does with all of this. But I do know that his statement on Sunday caused some senators, some Republican senators in particular, to kind of take a second breath and another pause with all of that. So he doesn't agree with the bill. Great. But we'll just have to see what kind of an effect that actually has moving forward. All right. There was another bit of a surprise that came out. Let's see. When was this? I gotta kind of read the Fox News anchor on Wednesday. Brett Baer, on a Wednesday interview on Special Report, Kash Patel came out with a kind of a tease with regards to the January 6th FBI, how many people were actually in the crowd. And Cash, well, let's just say that he kind of made it seem like there might be a bit of a surprise to some people in this. Let's take a quick listen.
There.
Oh. Try this again.
There. And as promised with my congressional partners, I'm working with Congress on constitutional oversight because that's what the American people deserve. And those documentations have been flowing to Congress nonstop on a rolling basis since that interview. But more importantly, people have had questions about January 6th and whether or not there were FBI sources, not agents, sources on the ground during January 6th. And I told you I would get you the definitive answer to that. And we have. And we are in the process, again, of working with our partners to divulge that information. And it is coming. And I will tell you this. The answer to that question will surprise and shock people because of what past FBI leaders have said about it.
Former FBI Director Chris Wray eventually admitted to Congress there were 26 FBI confidential human sources in and around the Capitol January 6th, but not actual agents. Can you say that's true? Are there more than that? What you're learning from that?
I can say that that is definitely a piece of the truth. Why it took a ton of time for and questioning in Congress for the director to get that point is what I'm trying to eliminate from the FBI. If Congress asks you a question under oath, whether or not there were sources in and around January 6th at the Capitol, you as the director of the FBI need to know that and not deflect and give a DC answer. You have to be prepared for that. And that's the answer we're giving. That's the answer Chris Wray should have given.
And eventually everybody's going to know the whole picture.
Yeah, because the American people deserve that. And look, no one's more frustrated than me. Remember, I was chief of staff of the Department of Defense on January 6th. We said that we were ready, and the president had previously authorized the National Guard to be there days in advance. I spent 2 years, a small fortune, grand juries, to testify to the truth. And what happens now, years later? We were right. Bowser and Pelosi rejected that offer. And instead of figuring out how to prevent security lapses like that ever again, the American public spent tens of millions of dollars and countless hours on TV listening to conspiracy theories because those in positions of leadership failed to.
Okay, so a couple of things that he dropped there. One of them in particular is the fact that, more people apparently than just the 26 that Christopher Wray admitted to were actually there. And so, we'll just have to kind of see. But he also made a comment too, or he also stated that there is also more information about Crossfire Hurricane. Now, Crossfire Hurricane, for those that don't remember, was the investigation into Trump administration 1. And so, yeah, there's more and more that they're uncovering. But it's not just that they're uncovering, too. Now that we have evidence and real evidence that that has been proven that Joe Biden was not exactly completely cognitively there in the Oval Office. Well, the auto pen scandal and his use of the auto pen has exploded a little bit more. It's the hole in the dam is getting a little wider, and more water is flowing out from behind that dam. A watchdog group known as Power the Future has called for a congressional investigation into these executive orders that were signed during the Biden administration. Now, the reason they're calling for this is they are claiming that there is no evidence that Biden was ever aware or approved of any of the orders that he had the auto pen sign. Now, the group's findings was detailed in a letter to the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform Chairman James Comer, and suggests that a small group of White House staff may have used the auto pen to sign significant policies without the president's knowledge. Now, the thing about this is that supposedly the way that this is again, supposed to work is that the president is supposed to be there, physically there, while the auto pen is signing stuff. And he needs to, be aware of what it is actually signing too. And so this thing is getting further and further, and actually one whistleblower has now come, sorry, wrong one. How did that get in there? Anyway, so the Biden auto pen idea basically is starting to blow up a little bit more. We also have, apparently somebody has gone and named the person who is really responsible for controlling the Biden auto pen. And it turns out that they are claiming that it's Pocahontas. Yes, Liz Warren herself. Now, DOJ official Ed Martin said that while the auto pen itself is legal to use, both parties must be cogent, meaning that they must be in their right mind, know what they're having the auto pen sign. Basically, it's kind of like you putting your electronic signature to a document, okay? Now, they claim, of course, that Biden obviously wasn't, and Martin, who is basically wasting no time in his new job, helming a weaponization task force and working as a pardon attorney, he is saying that a senior Democrat whistleblower has come forward, adding that Anita Dunn, Bob Bauer, and Ron Klain were the top 3 people who were in this area. Now, they also, of course, have alleged that Elizabeth Warren was a part of it and involved in the circus. But anyway, there's also even some other conversation around this too. I don't know if anybody has seen the Project Veritas videos where they were talking to David Hogg. David Hogg is reporting, is saying, or on film saying, that it was actually Jill Biden's chief of staff who was really the one who was kind of running things, and that he himself was fearful of this guy because apparently this guy was, scary in some way. Of course, considering that David Hogg is about as thin as a rail and could be blown over with a puff of air from, I don't know, while you're blowing out a birthday candle. He'd probably be scared of just about anybody, but we'll just have to kind of see where this thing goes, because again, this is another one. So, yeah. So there you go. Another revelation. There is another whistleblower that came forward and has now allegedly accused that the U.S. Department of Education under Joe Biden was actively operating under a policy of forgiving loans to farmers based solely on their race. So the previous Biden administration allegedly was targeting white farmers by issuing a loan program that paid off anyone who wasn't a white male, according to News Nation. The whistleblower claims that the Biden administration was trying to keep this hushed because of the obvious implications of race-based loan forgiveness. News Nation asked the whistleblower, so just to be clear, if you were an American Indian, Alaskan, Native, Asian, Black, African American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, Hispanic, or Latino, you were told you didn't have to pay your bills. The former USDA official responded essentially, yes, that's correct, and that your loan would be forgiven up to 120% of the loan value. The policy, which was apparently enacted as a part of the American Rescue Plan, included Section 1005, which the whistleblower alleges provided loan relief specifically for socially disadvantaged farmers. Ah, boy. Like I said, you tug on that string and everything starts unraveling. Just watch. It's coming. We're not even into the, into a really big piece of this pie. And yeah. We're not even into the first year yet. We're not even into, what is it? What are we at? Are we past 120 days yet? 120 days, which would basically be 4 months. Are we even past that? Anyway. Yeah, here you go. All right. Let me go ahead and take a quick break. I moved a lot faster through those than I expected, but let's go ahead and do this. Oh, I like my coffee. Do you like your coffee? I know I like my coffee. I showed you that big ass cup that I drink out of. It's actually 2 cups, 16 ouncer. Anyway, if you still haven't tried 1775 coffee, now is your shot. That's because the 1775 starter kit just dropped with very limited amount of units. You're getting, in this pack, you're getting the bold roast. You're getting the smooth medium roast. And you'll also get the Vitality Mushroom Coffee for clean energy and laser focus with no crash. Additionally, you are going to be getting all single origin small batch toxin-free mold-free. Man, I'm just having a hard time with the words tonight. Mold-free coffee. Plus, you're also getting my favorite, a gold spoon clip, because of course, freedom isn't scooped with plastic, folks. A frother that is strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's political opinions. You may not want that. I don't know. Depends. And also, you'll get a black 1775 tumbler that says, I don't take life advice or caffeine from a woke sea witch. So there you go. It's a total of $175 worth of coffee and gear, all yours for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 coffee blow up on Rumble and wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler alert, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio. That's the /, folks. It's the /. Okay. Go to 1775coffee.com /studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does. Go to 1775coffee.com /studio. That's STUDIO. And grab your starter kit. Start your day with coffee that actually backs what you believe. All right. So, here not too long ago, just within the last couple of days, okay, here not too long ago, the CDC has decided to pull the requirements of vaccination for healthy children and healthy pregnant women. And the left kind of has not really said anything about this, but kind of interesting. There's an article in Town Hall that makes you kind of wonder. all that time that they were pushing that vaccine, all that time that they were ignoring some of the side effects, all that time that they were accounting for people dying as just chalked up, no matter how they died, as chalked up as a COVID death, no matter the fact of all those photos that we got from all those blood clots and things that were within people when they would go to their autopsy table and they were pulling these things at, I mean, they were pretty disgusting. I don't even want to think about it really. But all of that time, everybody was saying, oh, no. That's not it. It can't possibly be it. Even though we had zero longitudinal data. And even before the fact that they went and put together this whole idea like, oh, let's do Operation Warp Speed. And yes, I am going to sort of blame Donald Trump for this, although he was just listening to other folks. But the whole idea of like getting a vaccination in line without proper testing procedures and the careful, methodical way in which we usually have vaccines go into the market is definitely in question in terms of what's going on. Well, you top that off with the fact that most of the vaccination folks were like, hey, if we do this, you got to give us immunity from prosecution. We can't get prosecuted if something goes wrong because you're having us speed this up. And so the government, of course, gave them immunity from prosecution, provided that it couldn't be proven that the company knew that there was a problem. They had to just, all tests and everything, and then if something accidental happened, okay, we can't get prosecuted. Is the way that it was set up. Well, the former CDC director has now come out and is now saying that he actually believes that vaccine makers should be sued. Here in Town Hall, former Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Director Dr. Robert Redfield said Tuesday that about 20% of the patients that he treats for long COVID never actually got COVID-19. He believes instead that they got the virus from the vaccine. Now, given that, Redfield now believes that the vaccine manufacturers should be subject to class action lawsuits. He said, quote, I spend, 2 days a week in a clinic, and my clinic is largely treating long COVID. And of patients with long COVID-like symptoms, probably about 20% of them never actually had COVID, he told Newsmax. He said, quote, they got it from the mRNA vaccine. Now, Redfield said that there is no way to remove the spike protein from the body. He said, when you give an mRNA vaccine, what you do is you give your body the ribonucleic acid, which then turns your body into a factory to make spike proteins, he explained. Unfortunately, we don't have a way to get rid of the spike protein. It just decays over time. But that time may be measured in months. Now, remember what I just said, folks. We have literally zero longitudinal data. And by longitudinal data, what that means is zero data over a long span of time. Most of the time, vaccines take a minimum of 10 years in human testing trials in order to be considered developed and safe. Meaning that they have to have literally thousands of patients have the vaccine and study them for 10 years before it is deemed safe. All of those safety measures were taken off in order to develop this vaccine that was supposed to be for a flu virus that was likened to the 1918 Spanish flu. Wasn't anywhere close to that, but that's what it was likened to. And they went ahead and like I said, they gave everything, Big Pharma, all of it, their liability shields. Well, Congressman Paul Gosar, I should say, Paul Gosar, last year, introduced legislation that would actually hold Big Pharma accountable by stripping vaccine manufacturers of their liability shields. The Arizona Republican explained at the time, under current law, it is nearly impossible to hold vaccine manufacturers liable for injuries caused by vaccines due to a 1986 law that unfairly created a special immunity carve-out for Big Pharma, making it very difficult for vaccine-injured victims to win in a court of law. Redfield, like Gosar, believes that this needs to be changed. These vaccine manufacturers have to be liable for their products, he argued. This is this is amazing. And I'm just gonna throw this out there. If they can get this overturned, if they can get this taken care of, I guarantee you there will be all kinds of lawsuits. I can almost guarantee you this, because anecdotally speaking, I've known of some people who had zero symptoms of issues like heart problems and things of that nature. And all of a sudden, they now have heart issues, which they didn't have, and it was undetected before them getting the mRNA vaccines. Folks, this is going to be scandal number 2, I think, for the Biden administration series. I really do think that this is going to be scandal number 2 out of all of this. All right. Let's see here. I got a couple of these. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and do this one. So, you seem to recall that there was a lawsuit that Trump brought against the Pulitzer Board. And the reason being is because a couple of magazines, somebody got, some of these people went ahead and let's see, I'm trying to find it here. He brought a lawsuit because the New York Times and the Washington Post were given Pulitzer Prizes in 2018 for their coverage of the whole Russiagate hoax. Now, of course, this is the thing that Adam Schiff got censored for, because he kept saying, no, I have proof. And here we are, 5-6 years later, still no proof has been shown. So I can't show you the proof but I know it's there. It's there. I'm telling you. Yeah, no. No. Sorry there, Shifty Shift. Not going to believe you until you produce it. Well, anyway, Donald Trump sued in a Florida court. And he sued the Pulitzer Prize Board for their for giving out the Pulitzer Prizes, which hasn't been yanked yet. Okay. They hasn't been yanked yet. But it's a defamation lawsuit. Now, a Florida appellate court has denied the Pulitzer Prize Board's petition to pause the defamation lawsuit against its members, which basically means that now that court case can step forward in the case. The 4th District Court of Appeals ruling, issued on Wednesday by Judge Robert Rugg, dismissed the board's claims that the proceedings should be halted due to presidential immunity concerns. So they tried to use presidential immunity as a crutch to keep from getting sued over this. Interesting. So, so yeah, the narrative about Donald Trump being involved with Russia and the whole Russia hoax has been widely debunked, but neither of the media outlets they are actually not, so I just want to make this clear, they are not defendants in the case. However, Trump is arguing that the board's decision to uphold the awards themselves, giving credence, giving justification, giving supporting information, because now the New York Times and the Washington Post can say, yeah, we won a Pulitzer Prize in 2018 for this story. Well, that story has long since been debunked. And so it's actually giving a little credit because it's a Pulitzer Prize winning story. And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. And so this is why Trump is suing the board. Because he's like, hey, you guys need to yank that from them because that isn't the way that's not the way this thing works. Now, the Pulitzer board sought the delay in the case to shield its internal deliberations from public scrutiny during the discovery process. Because remember, folks, when you go into discovery, a lot of stuff can be considered evidentiary and be put into the public record for people to take a look at. So the board filed a protective order in Florida's Okeechobee County describing the original request as a garden variety measure to maintain confidentiality in line with longstanding practices. However, this appellate court ruling clears the way for discovery to move forward, potentially exposing how the board decided to honor the controversial reporting from the New York Times and the Washington Post. Yeah. So, what they did is the board tried to invoke presidential immunity arguments, claiming that the ongoing legal proceedings could interfere with Trump's official duties. The circuit court rejected that reasoning earlier in the year, stating that Trump himself could determine whether the case posed a distraction, and Judge Rugg upheld that decision, saying that respondent Trump is in the best position to determine if these proceedings would be a diversion and interfere with the obligations of his office, or whether his continued participation is consistent with the performance of his official responsibilities. Yeah. The ruling also noted that Trump retains the option to dismiss the case or seek a stay if his presidential obligations change. So there you go. Now, I have an article. This is from the Euromoron files. And now that I think about it, this may actually become a regular segment on the show, because I call everybody a moron on social media. I call all the leftist moron. Well, I don't call everybody. It's all of the leftist lunatic morons that are out there. But this from the Moron files. I saw this and I just started cracking up. I can't even imagine what the hell's going on with this thing. So this is in Blaze Media. You see this photo right above? I'm going to scoot it up so that it's out of my head range here, but it's right above my head. This guy in blue, okay? This guy in blue. Yeah, he actually is a he is a resident of my state. And let's just say he's not exactly the sharpest knife in the drawer, because what he did was he sent an email. He sent an email to a Florida sheriff, Volusia sheriff, that basically said that he was going to murder the sheriff, and there was nothing the sheriff could do to stop it. Well, I think this moron found out. He did the FAFO, and maybe that's what I'll call this segment, the FAFO files. But anyway, he immediately got on the phone and got a hold of the local law enforcement up here in Washington, and they have extradited this person. They extradited him to go be placed on trial because by doing that, he actually broke Florida law that you cannot threaten somebody via electronic means. So here's the story. This video, there's supposed to be a video of Volusia Sheriff Volusia. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Volusia Sheriff Mike Chitwood was speaking face to face with the 45-year-old moron at the Dayton Beach International Airport. So, the perpetrator is from College Place, Washington, and he was extradited to Florida last Wednesday for making threats against the sheriff. He was booked into Volusia County Branch Jail the same day and held on a $100,000 bond, according to the paper, the Daytona Beach News Journal. Now, here's the charges. He faces charges of written or electronic threats to kill or do bodily injury, which is a second-degree felony in Florida, punishable by up to 15 years in prison. Volusia. Okay, Volusia. All right. Thanks, 3 Chevy. So he sent this email. Oh my gosh. And he told the sheriff, I'm going to have to threaten you with death. It's coming. There's nothing you can do to stop it. So when Volusia Sheriff's Office contacted the law enforcement in Washington regarding the threatening email, they did it on the same day that it was sent. Law enforcement officers visited the guy at his residence the same day to question him about the threatening email. The arrest report said that the gentleman told police he believes the threats to be satirical, artistic, and designed within the parameters of the First Amendment. Well, the sheriff met him at the airport and said, the guy's name, I'm Sheriff Chitwood. I'm the guy you want to kill, and there's nothing I can do about it. Challenge accepted. Oh, the challenge was accepted. He got arrested and extradited, and now he's going to spend. He goes, Sheriff Chitwood continues and says, you do know in Florida a written threat to kill is a felony. He's like, you know that, right? And he goes, just so you know, I'm the one who made sure you came back, and I hope you enjoy this stay at the branch jail. The guy tried to say, you're violating my rights, and Chitwood interjected and said, I will also tell you that you will not see Mickey Mouse on this trip, and you will have to reimburse us for your flight here and your stay at the county jail. Chitwood then asked, why don't you look me in the eye and tell me why you want me dead? And the guy goes, well, I am a Christian, to which the sheriff said, so am I. Yeah, and the guy claimed that Chitwood wasn't a Christian because he says in Corinthians it says bondsmen are not Christian. Yeah. Anyway, so the sheriff escorted the suspect to the police cruiser and told him, okay, we're going to take you where we need to. We'll make sure the cell has rubber in it. Oh, all right. Case in point, folks. Do not mess with Florida. You know how they have that phrase, don't mess with Texas? Yeah, I think Florida is actually probably taking care of that a little bit more right now. Yeah, that's from the dope files or the FAFO files or maybe the moron files. I don't know. Maybe it'll become a segment on the show. All right, folks. That's it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time I go live. Also, too, don't forget to hit those thumbs up, or if you really want to, a thumbs down. on all of my platforms, whether it's YouTube X, Facebook, and of course the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.